Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Earthen's Den. And this is actually going to be a part 2 episode, so you guys will have a lot more content to actually stream on your way to work, on your lunch break, and just kind of in your midday for Friday. So first and foremost, happy Friday, and thank everybody so much for tuning in. I am here and I bought a new journal. I don't know why I just said that like that, but I bought a new journal and I'm so excited because every time I buy a new journal, it's a new story, right? And so I'm really excited to tell a different narrative. And this is kind of going to piggyback off of the initial episode of self-awareness. And, I know you are, but who am I? Now, this is something that was something I thought about in regards to kids. I talk about the youth and how they inspire me. But I remember when we were younger, we really did have a high level of self-awareness. And when you think about it, as we got older, it was that was stripped away from us, right? We were invalidated. We were criticized. We were, put into spaces where we were punished for having our own opinions, for thinking our own beliefs, for standing up for ourselves, right? And so I realized for myself that when you start to do the healing work, right? And anytime we step into a space where we are overindulgent in our self-work, right? And this is why I talk about it being a journey and not something that you need to rush to do, a destination that you need to reach, or any goals that you need to really have in regard to this, because what you want to do is give yourself grace and patience to be liberated and to be fulfilled along the journey, right? So what I found with a lot of people is that because of our self-indulgence in regards to self-work and self-healing, so often we begin to nitpick, right? And what we find is that we pick ourselves apart so much so that we actually take away from our greatness. We actually take away from the things that are really beautiful, right? There's been times where, I noticed myself telling the same story, right? I had a healing season in my life where I was really just so focused on personal development and spirituality and all of those things. But I recognized that it just got to a point where it was after that season, right, had changed, I was still in that season. I was still telling the same story about how I had did this and how I had done that, to where I wasn't really living my life presently. I wasn't recognizing okay, hey, now you're actually reaping the fruits of your labor. You know what I mean? And I think so often when we get in those spaces of overindulgence, it's just not good for us, right? We start to really pick ourselves apart to where we no longer see the blessings. We no longer see the good in us. We can only sit and just self-depreciate. We're self-deprecating and we're just in a space where we really are just picking ourselves apart piece by piece. And so what I want to encourage everybody to do is when you become aware of something, right? I don't think that there's anything wrong with sharing that piece of information, because me personally, I do share my background just so people can get an understanding of myself and who I am. And, a lot of people, may feel what they feel or think what they think, though that is not my responsibility and I can never change that and it has nothing to do with me. I just personally, in regards to my journey, I was very honest about where I came from, because I really believe that piece of the story is very valuable in my decision to be an impact in my will, right? My purposeful will for my life to walk out and to be an inspiration to others. So for me, I do share that story, but there are definitely times where you have to recognize, you know what? This is not the time to bring out that story. You know what I mean? And this is not the time for that. And I think sometimes we really sit in that space where we really are just so hard on ourselves, and so I just wanted to get on here to let everybody know that it's okay to create a new narrative. So I really just want to wrap this podcast up by just letting you guys know and really giving you guys a reminder that at the end of the day, when it comes to your story, at any given moment, you really do get to control how this next chapter is going to go. And sometimes we make mistakes and, it's not till later we realize those mistakes. And sometimes we want to go back and correct it. And we want to go back and say this, or we think we need closure on this situation, or we think we need to go back and, try to rekindle a missed opportunity. You know what I mean? And what you have to realize is that life is really to be lived in the now, and everything that you are experiencing now is what is needed for this next chapter. And so just learn to embrace it and to dead that old story, and understand too, why you're on your journey, and you understand that, nobody's perfect and you're self-aware and all those beautiful things, just be mindful and understand that nobody really is perfect. You know what I mean? So everybody has their own thing, but we don't need to walk around wearing our insecurities on our forehead, to make people feel comfortable or to feel like we need that in a sense of relatability. You know what I mean? When you show up for yourself, you show up for others. And so I just wanted to make that very clear in today's episode. I'm excited to see what this next chapter in my life brings. Like I said, anytime I finish a journal and I'm on to the next, I know that there's a new story and I'm telling a new narrative. And so I'm embracing this season, and I want you guys to do the same. So I hope everybody has an amazing morning and a great Friday. And I'm going to leave you guys with your thoughts.